Hello, and a very pleasant good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everybody, and welcome to What's in My Head. It's a show literally about what I'm thinking. Let's see what's on tap for today. Well, hey, thank you very much. Intro clip guy me. This is What's in My Head. And what's on tap tonight? I wanted to talk about, or try to unpack, uh, saving someone's feelings. That that communicational interplay where there's bad news to be delivered, and we we either project onto the other person or I directly assign them feelings. This is how they're going to feel. And we soften the blow. We don't want to hurt their feelings. But what we what we want to tell them is true. They just, no, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news or what have you. Now, they certainly don't follow this policy in a cancer clinic, right? There's no tiptoeing. But in personal relationships, working with someone else at work, great sentence. Uh, Working with a colleague, working with a direct report or your manager at work, um, romantic relationships. But I mean, I guess the duration, but particularly when a breakup happens. And so here's an example. And I know lots of people that have gone through this, right? A couple, they're together and they break up, okay? And one of the parties is going back to their ex, right? Same example could be used if this person you know, was going to go to a new person, right? It doesn't have to be an ex, but it's they they know that person knows what's happening, but the person they're leaving, I mean, let's assume it's not, catastrophically broken as a relationship. They're just going to move on for whatever reasons are important to them, whatever fits within their value structure. But they don't. They just, sometimes you could see it. Hey, I just want to see other people, right? And I, I think what we've all learned is that no one wants to see other people unless they kind of already are. Sometimes, of course, it happens, but so if someone's like say going back to their ex and they say, well, they either say I'm no, I'm just going to go on my own, and then a month later there's this magical star alignment of connection that brings her back or him to her. So they try to save the other person's feelings by softening the blow, not making it quite as harsh a truth. I'm leaving you for another girl, right? I'm leaving you for another guy. I'm leaving you for a zebra. I haven't. That's hypothetical. Um, but they don't say that. It's true, but that's not what they say. It's, it. I want to save your feelings. But then in those cases where that never comes to light, no one's really the wiser. It's in some ways kind of a victimless crime to a degree, except it's a crime against yourself. So you're saving someone's feelings by deceiving them, basically. But it's for the best intentions, and I get it. I understand not wanting to be that blunt instrument that person's going to be beaten with. I get it. It's a well-intentioned lie, white lie. Even if is it a white lie? What is it? How else can we categorize it? I guess I should have done some show prep, huh? But when you do find out later, in that case, a month, 2 months, 3 months, it hurts the same in a way. They still left you for the ex, but then it also hurts along a few other dimensions because maybe you've already worked to process what happened, and now you kind of have to dig that all back up, right? But even more so, you you have to regard them differently. You have to look at them with a different lens because they weren't honest about something big in this case. But And maybe you've held out, had hope that this that he or she would come back, the one that had saved your feelings in the first place, right? In that case. So now there's hope and there's maybe continued dialogue. Right? And sometimes it's done, it's over with, right? So in some ways, the person whose feelings are saved kind of puts himself in a position for that kind of pain. But and I'm not, we're talking about the one side right now, of course. But so one of those is part of that process of looking back or of looking at situations. Like, why didn't you just tell me the truth, right? I'd rather you just lop it off right there, rip the band-aid off, as it were, rather than having to find out the truth later. Because then you look back over the course of the duration of that relationship, right? And then, well, what else did you save my feelings about that I didn't find out about or that I never came to learn? And I think the biggest tragedy there for me is, I mean, certainly I'm going to save your feelings, and so I'm going to cause you a little bit of pain, but believe me, you don't want to find out how much pain there actually is there for you, right? I get that, but when you look at it that way, what little things along the way, what little irritants were there that if one party or the other, one partner would have just said, "Hey, I hate it when you do that," or "That's super annoying," or "Could you stop doing this?" or "Could you pick that up?" I mean, I've heard all of this. I get it. I get that part. But when you don't, if you let something build because it's not a big deal or something, right? Something that could have been headed off. Obviously, you understand there's cases where it couldn't have been, right? The person's not going to change, whatever. But it's worse than just deceiving that I'm going to save your feelings part. It's worse than that because there's all these potential other places during the duration of that time that you robbed that person of being able to course correct and manifest themselves in a different and perhaps better way. You robbed them of being able to be self-aware and grow that competency. And now after finding out the truth, say you left for an X. Well, how else, how could I have been better today had I been confronted with brutal truth at each instantiation where it was necessary, including I'm leaving you for another girl, right? I'm leaving you for another guy. All those other ones. How could I have been better today as a result of you sharing that feedback and learning how to manifest myself differently, cleaner, right? So on the one hand, the person that isn't being forthright and trying to save feelings, you can be mad at them for, for ultimately learning things later. But man, inadvertently and through the best of intentions, not helping another person achieve their optimal best by course correcting little things in their life along the way, and instead of having to hit some tumultuous catastrophe that causes them to look back and learn it later. Ouch. That's even worse than lying. Because one of the fundamental reasons we have human relationships is to make each other better and to be aware that someone's trying to make you better. I don't know, learn to read nonverbals a little bit more acutely would help. And but I don't know, there's way more to unpack there. And I've seen it in the workplace too, right? Where I don't want to tell my particularly for like younger managers, I don't want to tell this direct that, you know, that is not the right way to do something. Bad example, but you get the point. I don't want to hurt their feelings, but you rob them of an opportunity to get better because at some point they're going to get to a manager who'll tell them the truth, and they're not as prepared as they could have been because they didn't know. So that's what was in my head today. If I'd have written it out, I probably would have come up with a conclusion of some kind, but I frankly don't have one yet. So right now it's just what's in my head. What do you think out there? Do you agree? You disagree? There's lots of nuance here, lots of variables to look at. And I don't know. I hope I got the main ones. At least that's what was sitting up there tonight. So probably more to come on this. Who knows? Maybe tomorrow we're talking about logging. It's what's in my head, and you'll know when I know. Have a good morning, a good afternoon, or good evening, everybody, and we'll see you next time.